Well, good morning and welcome to Winton Wetlands. I'm back up for another adventure with a new toy, the R1. Now you're thinking, why would he spend so much money on a camera to photograph wildlife? It's to photograph one particular subject, and that is Antechinus. Over the years with my other digital cameras, and the R5C, so mirrorless camera, they've all had a few problems that have stopped me from getting action shots, and that is slow sensor speed and the focusing system. Well, with the R1, it's certainly a cut above them with the focusing system, and also we now have a fast readout speed from the sensor. And I've been sitting back waiting for a camera like this to come onto the market. Finally it has, and I ummed and ahed, and I jumped in and bought it. Man, that's just a shitload of money. So hopefully I haven't wasted it. I'm up here to test it out and see whether I'm right that it's going to give me a huge increase in the chance of getting an action shot. Now we're talking about the fastest marsupial in the world. It's strobe-like movements, and also to make it even harder to get a shot, they bound. So they don't scamper around and run, they bound in the air. So I've had to build up techniques to be able to use the other cameras to get any chance 1 in 2,000 shots. That's pretty well much what it's been over the years, because the cameras can't do it. They just can't do it at all. I have to do it. I have to use techniques working around focusing problems and, rolling shutter. Just one more thing before we shoot up the top and see how we go. I mentioned in a previous video that I've made a life-changing decision, well, 2 life-changing decisions. I'm going to reveal the first one, and that is I handed in my notice at work 2 weeks before Christmas. I decided that I would bring forward a plan that I've been thinking of for a while, and that is not work ever again. Which brings me to my second life-changing decision that is in full swing, and I will tell you about that later on down the track. What an amazing morning I have had. Even though it was overcast, when I got to the top of the hill, there was a yellow-footed Antechinus at the side of a log. And by the time I got myself into position, it started bounding across, giving me the opportunity to be able to check out the R1 with action shots of an Antechinus. I now know that between the two of us, we can achieve an action shot within 100 shots. That's a dramatic change from having to build up techniques where I'm doing the work. I would achieve an action shot maybe 1 out of 3,000. So it's extremely hard to get them. You've got to get the subject to do it for you as well. That comes into it. I've got 4 over 14 years. That's all I've been able to achieve. Because there's so much science involved with it, with the rolling shutter. I've got to keep up with the subject, match its speed. That comes into it as well. There's a lot of science involved in that. So seeing the results from this morning, yes, it gives me real hope now that when the action does come on, that we've got a fighting chance now of getting an action shot. Amazing. But what I've also worked out with this camera is to do with focusing. So Canon have taken away those stupid cases. I've never been a fan of them. Just wanted an intelligent system that worked, not faffing around with cases and things like that. Like the original 7D used to be. That people used to talk about that being ET-like. That's how good the focusing was. So finally, they've given that back to us. But what they've given us, they've taken away in another area. And that is focus points. It took me a little while to work all this out, but I've nailed it down this morning. So we have all the normal ones in the menu. A small focus point, a slightly larger one, and then clusters and so on. They're still there, but they've added locked versions. I have dual back button focusing. I used to like to have on my AF button the single focus point, the smallest one, which doesn't move. It's just there in the center. It's good for in a thick forest environment like I have at home. Have a bird or a small bird or anything like that, that you could rely on that single focus point, get you the critical focus, and then you could go over to eye detect with your other button and see whether that worked or not. So what we have now is the locked version and an unlocked version. The unlocked version starts in the center when you press the button. Then if it sees the eye, it'll go straight to the eye. So it's not quite as fast as and intelligent, from what I can see, as going over to eye detect and tracking. But nevertheless, it works well, especially with them running across the log. It wasn't quite as aggressive, and it seemed to stay on it a lot better. So what I've done is reset this camera up because I'm seeing both of them are beneficial. So I've used the button at the front here, the top one, to be able to swap from one to the other. But you have to take off all the others. I don't use the others anyway. That's tiny little focus points, good for little birds and the anticonus because they're not very big. So that's my best bet, was to take the others off, get rid of them, because otherwise you're scrolling through them all when you're pressing the button. So now I only have the two to go through. So that means quick and efficient usage of that button at the front. So I've been playing around with that this morning, and yes, that's what I need to do, because we're going to get tons of different sorts of circumstances. There's a little problem I found though with locked on version. So when we lock down and get that single focus point, we can go over to eye detect and tracking, but we lose something quite valuable, and that is animal detection, or human detection. That is blanked out now. It's turned off. So when we need that extra intelligence, I have to go back over to the unlocked version. So therefore having those two available on that front button is really, really crucial. Now, talking about using the old techniques that I have, I worked out years ago that if I focused on the branch or the log or whatever the subject's running on, that I use the single focus point and follow it and try and get on the same focus plane as it as best I can, which is almost impossible to keep up with it because they're just super fast. But I've had one circumstance, and here's the photo. I had a branch set up to go into its nest, and what it was doing, so it was bringing leaves up, and it did it for 20 minutes almost non-stop. So that meant I just took hundreds of photographs and just hoped eventually that I would get one that would work for me. As soon as I'd see it coming up onto the branch, I would try and keep up with it, sort of, just spray and pray that we would get one. So across the branch and up the tree, and just trying to keep up with it and trying to put the focus point right on where it's landing. So yeah, I finally got a shot. I don't know how many I took, maybe 500 shots with the R6. That was just awesome that I finally worked out how I could do it. Hopefully this afternoon I get more opportunities and we get the light this time. Everything works out for us, that we get a fantastic action shot mid-air of a yellow-footed antechinus in sharp focus. It's a bit windy tonight. I had to put the strap on my hat, which a bit dorky, but it's the only way I can keep it on. I've got the sun at my back and the wind at my back as well, and the mic is getting a bit crackly and stuff with this wind for some reason. It's interfering with the wireless capabilities. Anyway, I'm at this rocky outcrop where I saw some yellow-footed antechinus females this morning. Got a couple of sort of shots of them, but I want some action shots, and this is just beautifully set up here. Hopefully the camera doesn't fall over, because when I tried to talk to the camera just before, it went denser speed that's faster. Yeah, the female just came out just a little while ago, but because of the wind, maybe, she shot her over the other side. I haven't seen her since. That was about a half an hour ago. Out for my second session of the day. Just quickly talk about video capabilities. Now the R1 has some awesome features and it's just fantastic, and it's got 3 areas that it's really good at. The R5C is just more geared for filming wildlife. It's a much better camera. It's a cinema camera, let's put it that way. It's a cinema camera. It's set up for filming separately from photographing. So the R5C will remain my main camera for wildlife. Alright, so what this is good at and absolutely shits on any camera that I've ever had, camcorders including, is slow motion. And that's because you need a fast sensor to have clean, sharp images. So the R5C is the best one I've had out of all the other cameras I've owned. It's not milky looking, which happens with slow sensors. It doesn't have a really high quality look about it. Where this, because it's a fast sensor, we're seeing sharp, clean looking images. And they'll be awesome to be able to put into a documentary demonstrating on how antechinus move. So you'll be able to see them bound in the air. The other thing this is just brilliant at is birds in flight. The R5C can't film them in flight, it just can't focus on them. Well, by the time it just gets them, they usually go out of the scene. The big reason why I don't want to use this for filming for professional sort of videos is it has an XF wrapper. This wrapper is for camcorders. The XF series of camcorders that I've owned over the years, that's what they have on their file name, XF, and then whatever after that. So this has it. And the problem with that is viewing programs like Windows and Microsoft video media players, they don't have the codecs for it. There's no picture because it can't read the file. So the only way you can see them is use Canon's EOS Ultra, which is designed for camcorders. And that is a crap program, it really is. Open it up in that program, you have to create a virtual file. This program has to have a link to the file that it's going into. So you have to create one within it. You can name that file whatever you like, but you can't name the video file itself. It has to remain with the code that it came in with. So you download it to that virtual file, once it's in there, you can open up its metadata file that comes with the video itself. Then you can type in that, what the video is about. So, male Antechinus fights other male Antechinus. This system, it's a pain in the ass, because I'll have a folder called yellow-footed Antechinus, and I might have 30, 40, 50 video files in it. And you have to open up the metadata file as you scroll through each video, looking for the name of the file, which just takes far too long. And it sort of stopped me from using this as my full-on video camera.
So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Well, good morning, and it certainly is. Sun's just come up over the hill there. I need to get this day underway, get some breakfast down my throat and get going. But there is not a cloud in the sky. This is just fantastic. Catching up with a friend of mine, another photographer, Helen, this morning. And we'll just see how the day pans out. But the R1, I'm starting to fall in love with it. Yesterday, being able to capture images without rolling shutter just puts us in such a good place to be able to capture action shots. And also being able to film birds in flight. I had a ball on the way home last night. I didn't get anything as far as Antechinus go or any photographs of anything. But as the birds are flying over me, I just started filming, and yeah. Wow, yeah, this is impressive. Well, this morning hasn't been very successful with the yellowfoots. Give me glamour shots, but they wouldn't give me action shots. And we have perfect lighting conditions. Yesterday it was the opposite. Anyway, that's the way the cookie crumbles. End up giving up on them because they've gone back into their nesting hollows. And I've come down to this little dam that I came down to yesterday morning just to get some birds coming down, have a drink of water. I've positioned some branches across so they're just off the water there, so they'll come down onto that. I'm out for my afternoon session, It's waiting for things to happen. Just talk about another quirk with this camera before my subjects come out, and that's to do with the shutter coming down when you turn the camera off, so that if you take the lens off, you don't get dust on the sensor. To be able to achieve that, we have to turn three things off, and that is blackout free, pre-capture and silent mode. That's the only way you can get the shutter to come down. With the R5C and R6 that I've had, never had to do any of that, it just automatically come down. Obviously Canon have got a reason why they've done it like this, but I still think it's really dumb. You have to protect that sensor, guys. It also, if those three affect whether or not you can go over to mechanical mode as well. Good morning, and it certainly is another beautiful day in paradise. The sun's just come up over the hill there, ready to get on with today's adventure, catching up with Brian and Helen again today. Going to join me with photographing Antechinus, and then later on going back down to that little dam so we get any more birds getting a drink of water. Need to get myself ready, get underway, keep on experimenting with this camera. Wasn't a very successful morning. Got this beautiful light, there's no wind. It was nice to catch up with Brian and Helen. We walked around a little bit trying to find yellow-footed Antechinus. There was only one, wasn't going to play the game and disappeared. So we ended up just wandering around the place, couldn't find any, and we ended up down at the little dam. We were there for a fair while, nothing really turned up. Helen had to go, and as soon as she went, of course, the birds started coming in. So we got a few nice shots here and there, but most of the birds stayed away, like rosellas and parrots. They weren't coming down for some reason. But we got the white-plumed honey eaters coming down for a drink, so got a little bit more of them. Yeah, I'm just chilling out now. This is my last day. So I'm going home in the morning, but I have a big, huge adventure that I've already planned. So I'm going up to the glue pot, checking that out for the first time. Then I'm going on from there to the Flinders Ranges, then moving down slowly to Adelaide, and just go around that area looking at, different places where I can photograph birds. And there's the opportunity for Antechinus as well down there. And there might be up at the Flinders Ranges actually. Have to look into that one. So yeah, big, huge trip, probably take me about 3 weeks. So I'm really excited for that one. what an awesome time I've had up here at Winter Wetlands, as I always do. Sun's going down, I've got about 20 minutes left I reckon, so I'll be moving on from here. But yeah, just had an absolute ball getting used to this camera, starting to nail down the focusing system, getting it to work for me. Like just here tonight, getting birds in flight, you know, jumping off the perches, the welcome swallows coming onto the water, skimming, picking up a bit of water and catching insects as well. Normally I couldn't achieve that in such a small place, especially with them coming at you when you've only like 3 metres. In the past, with the other cameras, the R5C and the R6, you'd have to track them from a distance. So as they're coming towards you, you get the focus on it and then you follow it and then down onto the water they go. With this, I don't have to bother with that. So it's actually taken a little bit of the fun out of it. It's that good. No yellow-footed antechinus tonight at all. I thought they'd at least come out and say goodbye, but they haven't. They've snobbed me. Yeah, just had an awesome time and really starting to love this camera and the way it works. Yeah, just get better and better with it. And so that's it. That's all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel and get more of this amazing stuff, click on my pretty little face just down there in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Hit the bell, you'll get notification whenever I do anything else. And if you want to go and have a look at all the other mad and crazy things I've been doing in the past, click on my icon right here at the end of this video. Takes you to my channel. I talk about photographing and filming in the forest and open forest environments. Whenever I go on adventures, I always take you with me. When I buy cameras and camera accessories and vans, I do reviews on them and give you my honest opinion on them. So go and have a browse. There'll be something there of interest to you, I am sure. And just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.